Hello everyone and welcome back to the coverage of the Magnus Invitational. We are continuing now with the match Liren versus Hikaru Nakamura, and it's quite the game. I decided to skip game 4 between Fabiano and MVL, but I might show it tomorrow as I don't know if I will have time tomorrow to show some games. So that's why kind of why I overdid it today with the videos, but if I manage the time I will also show that one. But as you all know, Fabiano already won the match. So this is Liren versus Hikaru Nakamura, and this is game 5. So it's already Armageddon, and even though there were chances on both sides, but all 4 games between the two of them ended in a draw. So I don't know who won the coin toss, but if it was Hikaru, someone mentioned in the comments that Hikaru said in an interview that he actually prefers black in Armageddon, as he's faster than most of the players, so he doesn't mind having less time if he only needs a draw. So it does make sense, but I don't know, maybe Ding won the coin toss and then maybe Ding chose white, as Ding likes to win, I guess. Everything is possible. So if you know who won the coin toss, do share in the comments. Now that being said, let's check out the game. Ding opens with c4. He goes for his English. We have e5 by Hikaru and knight to c3. And more often than not, we will have the 4 knights of the English. Knight f6, knight f3. We have knight to c6 and now g3. Preparing to fianchetto the light square bishop, and d5 now, immediately striking in the center. And I found when I play against the English that this setup is just great for black. So c captures on d5, we have knight captures on d5 and bishop to g2. Just nicely developing, and now knight to b6, avoiding further trades. We have castles, and now bishop to e7. Hikaru also prepares the castle. We have a3, and now just castle. So this is all very theoretical, and both of them are just blitzing these moves out. Both of them know this stuff. We have d3 and bishop to e6 now, and the bishop to e3. For the moment, preventing the e2 pawn from being developed, but you're not interested in developing the e2 pawn at all, obviously, in this line. So knight to d5, now going for some trades in the center. Ding captures, we have captures here, and now queen to a4. Now the rooks are connected. You can start getting your rooks into the game. The idea is rook c1 to c3 and then double up on the c file, bringing the other rook over to c1. We have rook to e8 by Hikaru. He develops the rook, and now rook a to c1 with the before mentioned plan. We have a6. Now you can kick away the queen with b5 in the future if needed, and rook to c3, preparing to double up. We have bishop to f6. And now we reach the position that has already been reached in a very important game in 2014. Sergei Karyakin had it against Veselin Topalov in the candidates tournament, and the game ended in a draw after rook to c5 was played by Karyakin. And it seems like you should move the rook, since if e4 comes, it will be a double attack here. But Ding shows that there is no need to do this. He just goes rook to d1. Point is that now you align the rook with the queen, and you are indirectly defending against any and all threats. For example, if you push e4 immediately, then just d captures on e4, and okay, you lose the rook, but then you capture the bishop on d5. And now again you're attacking both of these pieces, and once the knight moves, you're just going to capture here, and you will have 2 pieces for the rook. Well, the bishop pair for the rook at that. So after rook to d1, Nakamura just continues with knight to d4, and now rook to d2, defending the e2 pawn. So this is one of the weirder pawns in any line that you'll see. Knight captures on f3 with check, bishop captures, and now bishop captures on f3. Ding recaptures with the e pawn, and now okay, you do have a doubled f pawn and the isolated d pawn, but it's not really a problem. Ding's king will be very safe on g2. Now these pawns really defend the white king well, and you're gonna push d4 at some point, getting rid of your backwards isolated pawn, and that's just you know, good chess. So c6, not allowing c7 to remain a target after the queen is developed, and now king to g2, just improving the position of the king. We have g6 by Hikaru, and now queen to e4, not going for d4 right away. It of course is possible, but the Ding tries to keep the tension for as long as possible, as he needs a win to win the match. So bishop back to g7, now making room for f5 if needed, and now Ding goes for b4, so still waiting with this d4 idea. But now Hikaru goes f5, and he allows this queen to c4 check. We have king to h8, and only now d4 by Ding. So okay, we have e4 by Hikaru, and now d5, further advancing the pawn. We have captures on f3 with check, and here Ding recaptures with the king. Looks a bit dangerous, but doesn't seem like there's a way for you to do anything here. And now queen to e7. Also possible is just bishop captures on c3 with check, but with the f pawn being pushed all the way here after queen captures on c3 check king g8, it could be very dangerous. Bishop to h6 ideas, and well, in a game where, well, in a blitz game where you're just playing against Ding, you do not want this position, and pretty much anyone would give up the exchange here for the very strong dark square bishop. So after king captures on f3, Hikaru goes queen to e7 instead, and now Ding just needs to continue the game. For example, there are a lot of ways you could continue the game. One way you don't want to continue is d6. d6 looks very strong, but then you just allow black to trade off everything. It seems like it's still strong, but after queen e4 check, now you're actually trading off queens. So for example, if queen captures, you recapture with check, and then you're going to grab the rook very happily. So here you'd have to go back, and then comes queen captures, rook captures, and let's say rook a to d8, and it would be it's hard to imagine that this pawn will ever go forward with both players having a dark square bishop. So Ding needing to win the game, he just keeps the pressure. He goes rook c to c2, and now comes c captures on d5. We have rook captures on d5 by Nakamura, and rook a to d8 now. And here, again, Ding just needs to play rook to d2, double up on the d file, and the game continues. However, Ding played one move that looks perfectly reasonable and normal and even good, but in the end it's a move that blunders the game. So here Ding played king to g2. He just improved the safety of his king, and okay, you still have a queen and rook on the c file. You can still double up here, you can trade, you can do whatever. The problem is Ding is completely lost here. So feel free to pause the video and try to find the winning idea for Hikaru here while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, as you must be practicing your tactics on a daily basis. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, here in this position, Hikaru played b5, and it's what a move. It frees the b7 square for the queen with tempo, as the white queen on c4 is under attack. It's just brilliant stuff. Here Ding has to move the queen. He played queen to d3 to keep guarding the rook, but here Hikaru just played queen to b7. Attacking the pinned piece, and it was in this position on move 29 that Ding Liren resigned the game, and with it the match. So Hikaru gets 2 points, Ding 1 for reaching the Armageddon, but here there is nothing to do. Your rook is under attack, and it's attacked twice. You could defend it one more time, but that's it. After rook c5, Hikaru adds a third attacker, and after rook e5, there's nothing you can do. Having only a dark square bishop, next move, whatever you play, rook captures rook, and well, you will be down a rook and completely lost. So yeah, really amazing stuff. Hikaru played this like in an instant. All that puzzle rush must be really paying off for him, as you can see. And yeah, he wins the match. And so I don't forget, we're just gonna check out the standings after round 6, day 2. There you have it. In first place, Hikaru Nakamura, followed by Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, 3 of them tied with 13 points. Ding Liren with 12, followed by Yanni Pomnishi, Alireza Firuja, Maxim Vashilagrov, and Anish Giri in last place for the moment. So this means that it's not going to be very intense tomorrow. One more round will still be played before we go into playoffs, but we already have the top 4. So Nakamura, Carlsen, Caruana, and Ding Liren are going into the playoffs, into the knockout stage of the tournament. And it's over for the rest, but they are still playing tomorrow to see who wins how much money, even if they don't continue in the tournament. So a really wild game, very theoretical struggle. I mean, both Ding and Hikaru knew what they were doing, but this king to g2 move that looked perfectly normal, was what resulted in Ding's demise. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Abdul Mohsin Al-Raji, Karsten Kurtz, Stephen Atkinson, Chris Antley, and Martin Frischer for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Magnus Invitational. One more round, and then we go into the playoffs. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.